Hi everyone. John Wenham, who wrote The Goodness of God, gives us a summary of the chapters in the book and the faith issues that he's going to tackle. So I thought to read that. Chapter 1 shows that the problem cannot be solved by cutting out the disagreeable parts of the Bible. For it is not just an Old Testament problem. It is also a New Testament one. And it is not just a New Testament one. It derives preeminently from Jesus himself. Jesus, New Testament, and Old Testament all hang together. Furthermore, should one be tempted to liberalize the Bible by the use of critical scissors, one has a further problem, which is not amenable to such easy solutions, the problem of providence. Every Christian, liberal or conservative, has to face the problem of evil and of the way God governs his world. It is impossible to get rid of the facts of history. This problem, which comes from the world of solid reality and which brooks no evasion, can provide a point of departure for looking at the biblical problem afresh. Chapter 2 attempts to ease the biblical problem at its most difficult point by looking again at Jesus' teaching about hell. Chapter 3 looks at some inadequate solutions which deny the perfection either of God's sovereignty or of his goodness. Chapters 4 to 6 argue that the problem of providence and the problem of the Bible are closely parallel, and that 9 principles which enable us to tackle the former enable us to tackle the latter also. Taken seriously, these principles, freedom, deterrence, punishment, delayed retribution, corporate solidarity, limitation of suffering or to suffering, sanctification through pain, atonement, finitude. Sorry. Is that how you say it, Max? Finitude? Being finite. Right? Go far to explain the Bible difficulties. Chapter 7 tries to show that the recording of the sins of its saints enhances the Bible's value rather than detracts from it, and also that the limitations of the Bible's laws reflect God's wisdom, not his imperfection. Much of the trouble arises not from the Bible's lack of morals, but from the severity of its morals. This severity is seen in the way that the sins of the saints are mercilessly exposed, and also in the severity of some Old Testament laws. It is shown that misunderstanding arises from a failure to recognize that wise legislation for a fallen race is not concerned with highfalutin theories of what life should be like in a perfect world, but with the realities of life as it is. In this, the Bible is sane as well as severe. In the light of these principles, the 2 most difficult problems, God's command to eliminate the heathen from the promised land, and the biblical curses, are then examined at some length or some depth in chapters 8 and 9, and are found to take their place in one consistent portrayal of God's activities. The last chapter shows how the goodness of God may be seen in all its fullness in the perfect blend of kindness and severity revealed in Jesus Christ. So it is that the study of moral problems of the Bible takes us to the heart of biblical theism, and therefore to the heart of the modern religious debate. In an additional study, the doctrine of the goodness of God, it is shown how biblical theism provides a God-given touchstone for evaluating all attempts to improve upon Bible's teaching. All man-made improvements are seen, in fact, to be deformations. The Bible, undiluted and unadorned, takes us to the only God, the God who is, the God who has revealed himself in the world and deed, in word and deed, the God with whom we have to do. So that's his summary. For ex-witnesses, now that we have the freedom to look at the problems that and stumbling blocks that we see in the Bible, it may be the first time for us. It may be things that we had never seen before. Or it may be that these doubts had occurred to us while we were witnesses. These stumbling blocks had been presented to us, and we tried to just bury them. Maybe even felt guilt for having any kind of a doubt. But in the church, in Christendom, it is encouraged to discuss these things, to look at them openly, and to try to come up with some kind of understanding. Did I misunderstand? Or is it there, and what do I do with it? Those things are encouraged. There's all kinds of books within Christendom in apologetics that go to wrestling with the difficulties that we might find that cause stumbling blocks in our efforts to keep faith or to understand things. The next time we're going to deal specifically with his covering of stumbling blocks in the Old Testament. I'm going to link to two videos. The first one is The Old Testament Was the Bible of Jesus and the Apostles. And the second one is exJWs Don't Fall for the Lie. The Old Testament God is not a different deity from the God of Jesus. And that was in a video where I was discussing the difference between or comparing the difference between Old Testament and New Testament. And it was Wilberforce that I was doing his book.